a la gala del North Shore Hispanic Association. Welcome to the North Shore Hispanic Association Gala. This event is very special. The organization has been doing great work for 5 years, and the gala has been going on for 4 years. And the funds raised go towards scholarships. And this group does so much work year round. So any support, there will be ways that you can help. So look in the page, North Shore Hispanic Association.org, and you'll be able to contribute to this great effort. I want to say that this is so appropriate that in this time of coronavirus that we continue to come together and celebrate all the blessings that we have. And it's so important that now more than ever, we come together and work together and help each other and celebrate everyone, but especially our Latino leaders. And I want to say that the efforts of this organization doing the scholarships and promoting education, which is the key to all doors, and the festival, and without a doubt, this organization puts our community on the map. I want to say that in America right now, the one thing that we need more than ever is to stand up for all the principles that the North Shore Hispanic Association stands for, and that's unity. America is a pluribus unum, out of many one, and definitely we have to live up to with liberty and justice for all. And one of the things that this group does, every one of the participants here, and I always want to say that the leaders of this group, a lot of women in that group, and Gladys Rodriguez Rogers in the forefront there in the vanguard, together with Cristina Villafranca, Margarita Restrepo, and Karen Colon Hayes. We thank you and all the members and all the leaders in the whole of North Shore in the state, because this has ramifications all over, and all the political leaders, and many of them are going to be speaking to us, business leaders, religious leaders, and community leaders, and our people. And thank you to a lot for getting out and making sure you vote. That's one of the things that this group also promotes, the active participation in civic duties. And that means making sure you vote. And as we can see, every vote matters and every vote needs to be counted. I want to say that I am so happy to be able to participate here where we're honoring some great people, which I know, I mean, we have people that are in the forefront, an educator. I mean, the people that are making sure our kids are getting a great education in difficult times. And so we have Saida Ortiz, a community organizer, Jenna Roby, a public school teacher, and Miguel Vargas, I mean, great friend, always present in everything, and the talent and all he does with our youth. And my good friend, Jose Palma, who's a co-founder in TPS, not only in Massachusetts, but nationally. And that's the reason why we must stay together, stay strong, so that our voice is heard always. We must be in every table, every place that the decisions are being made. And Jose, great work. We've got to make sure that TPS, Tepecianos, también our DACA, and everyone in these difficult times that we're seeing, we have to make sure that that voice turns into action, and that once we overcome this virus, that we can make things much better and very inclusive. So thank you very much. I am so honored, and this is going to be a special night for all of us. And I now would like to introduce Karen Colon Hayes.
Thank you so much, Juan. You have been such a great supporter of ours over the years, and I know you are super busy, so we really, really appreciate you taking the time out and being with us tonight. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate these outstanding honorees. Each honoree in their own way are forging a path, and we're excited to be able to celebrate them tonight. It's no surprise that our past and present honorees share things in common. They are driven, they are passionate, and they give back to their community. They are all small business owners right here in Malden. Some are sponsoring this event and will be listed at the end of the program. So please make sure you take a look and support them in any way you can. From restaurant owners to daycare facilities to dance companies, law firms, and even a justice of the peace. It is clear that Latino businesses are on the rise. As a matter of fact, Latinos have become the fastest growing small business owners across the US, contributing billions to our economy. We are hard workers, we are family oriented, and we thrive when we serve others. So with that happening in both our country, with the public health crisis and our attack on our democracy, we all could use some celebration in our lives. Tonight's program was designed for just that. So we want you to sit back and enjoy. Now, let's take a moment to thank the members of the North Shore Hispanic Association and our planning team. I want to thank our Presidenta, Gladys Rivera Rogers, our board members, myself, Christina Villafranca, Margarita Restrepo, Elena Martinez, and our newest member, Claritza Isaac. And I want to shout out to Michael Pina, who was always great to us. He's moved, but he's still supporting. And with that, we are now going to thank our two organizers, who is Kit Rich and Maya Colon Hayes, who has put this all together and kept us all in line, which isn't easy. So now I'd like to introduce our Mayor of Malden, the city where our group was founded, Mayor Christensen.
Buenas noches y bienvenidos. In a year like no other, it's reassuring to know that we have organizations like the North Shore Hispanic Association continuing to work hard to make a difference in Malden and beyond. I can still remember the president of the association, Gladys Rivera Rogers, being one of the first to reach out to me to offer the association support when COVID-19 struck our city. That willingness to make a difference can also be found in tonight's honorees, and it is my pleasure to be one of the first to congratulate them on their well-deserved recognition. Their good work is solid proof that lives can be improved by simply caring. They are doers, leaders, teachers, and really the fabric of our community. Thank you to each of them, and congratulations. Bienvenidos y disfruten.
She needs to be unmuted.
Hi, thank you, Mayor Christensen. And now I'd like to introduce via video Senator Lewis, who's always been a very good friend to us.
Wonderful evening tonight. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to join you all tonight to celebrate the North Shore's growing Hispanic community. Thank you to the Board of Directors of the North Shore Hispanic Association and everyone involved in the association's important work. Your efforts supporting student scholarships, organizing festivals, providing immigration resources, and more are invaluable to our communities and greatly appreciated. I'm proud to support the work of such a fantastic organization. I want to offer my congratulations to tonight's honorees, Zaida Ortiz, Jose Palma, Jenna Roby, and Miguel Vargas. I also want to use this opportunity to congratulate both Gladys Rivera Rogers and Karen Colon Hayes, who were nominated by myself and Representative Steve Altrino for the 2020 Massachusetts Latinx Trailblazer Award, which is presented annually by the Massachusetts Black and Latino Legislative Caucus. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening tonight. Thank you.
Ready? Okay. tell her to maybe say that now.
Go ahead, Christina, you're on.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I was mute. Good evening, everyone. I had the privilege to introduce a beautiful group of young kids from Peru who are very proud of the cultures, who are very proud of their cultural dance, and the most important, their parents teach them, no matter where we live or where our life start, we never forget where we're coming from. So Grupo Pumawari from Peru, this is young kids that some of them lives in Molden, and the video was beautiful, created in one of the most beautiful park in Molden. So please run the video. Thank you.
Perú, tesoro escondido, historias de civilizaciones milenarias, rica en su costa, sierra y selva, porque somos una fuerza, raza pura bicolor. Siempre contigo, Perú. Celebremos nuestra independencia 2020. Feliz 28 de julio, hermanos peruanos. ¡Que viva el Perú, señores!
Bailando, saboreando y mira flores. Pío, 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 qué linda eres. Pío, 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 Huancaña. Bailando, saboreando y guayucachi. Bailando, saboreando y mira flores. Pío, 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 qué linda eres. Pío, 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 Huancaña. Pío, 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 con elegancia. Bailemos, cantemos, bailas moderno. Pío, 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 en chongos bajo. A ti solita te daré mi amor. Pío, 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 con elegancia. Bailemos, cantemos, bailas moderno. Pío, 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 en chongos bajo. A ti solita te daré mi amor. ¡Anaconda!
Yo quiero que el mundo vibre y al bailar se sienta libre. Yo quiero que el mundo vibre y al bailar se sienta libre. Al compás de mi marinera, que es la danza de las Américas, los pañuelos griten al cielo el mensaje de mi pueblo. Al compás de mi marinera, que es la danza de las Américas, los pañuelos griten al cielo el mensaje de mi pueblo. Yo soy Perú, sangre inca y española. Yo soy Perú y mi estirpe es creadora. Un pasado lleno de gloria en la sierra, montaña y costa. Y en los pies de una hermosa chola voy a revivir mi historia. Un pasado lleno de gloria en la sierra, montaña y costa. Y en los pies de una hermosa chola voy a revivir mi historia.
la bendice, saca la mano, saca los pies, saca la cabeza si no la quieres perder. Saca la mano, saca los pies y saca la cabeza si no la quieres perder. Saca la mano, saca los pies, saca la cabeza si no la quieres perder. Saca la mano, saca los pies, saca la cabeza si no la quieres perder. Si quieres tú bailar, si quieres aprender, debes sacar la mano y luego sacar los pies. Si quieres bailar, 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 bailar.
Yo soy Perú, sangre inca y española. Yo soy Perú y mi estirpe es creadora. Un pasado lleno de gloria en la sierra, montaña y
All right, that was beautiful. Thank you. And now I had the honor and the privilege to introduce one of the leaders and men that I admire because he's an inspiration for many of us, for the young generation. He's a man that turned around his life to make it better through the love to his son. He's a person who is an advisor for the youth. He's a person who is the creator of the One Day at a Time Dad, and also he's a creator of different type of series that interview all type of leaders that they don't even know that they are leaders, but they are, because they are transforming people's life through their example. I could say a lot of great things about him, but I'd rather he talk about his own experience. So let me welcome to Mr. Christian White. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. You know, first of all, shout out to the mayor and the senator for being so active within the organization. That's always a great thing. Shout out to the North Shore Hispanic Association. Special shout out to Christina for believing in me enough to honor me with this privilege. Karen mentioned a few things regarding the award recipients, Jenna, Miguel, Jose, and Zaida. She spoke about being driven, being doers, and being leaders. I also wanted to add to that the role of cycle breaker, because that's what I feel like we all are in our own special ways. So for me personally, my name's Christian White. I have a 13-year-old son who's on the autism spectrum. Specifically, he has issues with social issues. My journey began long before I was born. There was a pattern that was put into my family, however it got there, and I was born into it. And this particular pattern involved abuses of all kind. And as time went on, because of the ways that I experienced that abuse and the ways that I interpreted it, it ended up turning into a lot of prison time, a lot of time within mental institutions. Words like post-traumatic stress, depression, they didn't mean anything to me when I was 6, 7 years old going through what I was going through. I learned all that later. I've served three state sentences and 3 county sentences, and combined total of about 17 years. I'm 41 years old. Things started to change a little bit when I was 18. I was in a maximum security prison, and I had a vision of everything that had happened to me when I was a child growing up. And I want to be real clear. At this point, I speak of the sexual abuse because I think it's important for men to say out loud that they have been sexually abused. So at 18 years old, I was laying in my cell and I was looking up at the ceiling and everything came flooding back. And the thought occurred that just maybe the things that I had gone through played a role in my everyday thinking. And for me, this was a brand new thought because for me, my whole life, I just understood things to be normal. There was no abnormal. The last and final time I went to prison, I was sentenced to 10 years for illegally possessing a firearm. Most of my pattern turned into violent behaviors, and that meant to myself and others. So I was sentenced to 10 years. Just before I was arrested, 2 weeks before I was arrested, my son's mom was 8.5 months pregnant. He was born 2 weeks later. I was on the inside. I saw him twice when he was 10 days old, 14 days old. Then I saw him twice when he was 2 years old. The next time I would see him, he would be almost 9 years old. While inside and prior to that, I had began the mental health journey, the cycle breaking journey. What I didn't understand is that as I started this journey, I had a very huge struggle with being vulnerable, because that meant trusting people. And trusting people was not something I was good at, because within my own household, it was clear that I shouldn't have trusted the caretakers who looked after me. So once I got home, my son was living with his mom and his 2 siblings. I hit the ground running in terms of trying to be a father, and I had no clue what a dad was. I only knew what I didn't want to do, which was what my dad did. So time goes on. Christian's spending time with me. We're becoming more comfortable with one another. I'm adjusting back to society. It's a brand new experience, because every other time I had ever gone to prison, I always told myself that because of everything I had gone through, the world owed me. So no matter what I did as a consequence of what I had been through, then the world would have to settle that debt. It didn't fall on me at all. I had no accountability in the process. A few things happened during my time, the last and final time. Around the 6th year, a few epiphanies had hit me at once. And it's important to keep in mind that in the background of all this, I'm slowly dealing more with the traumas that I had experienced. But I woke up one morning, and the first thought that hit me was, my son did not ask to be here, so I owed him better. And I didn't know what that meant, but I knew that I owed him because he did not ask to be here. And then something else hit me. So while serving time, there was a constant flow of young men who were coming in from the neighborhood that I grew up in. And they would always look at me as if I had made no changes at all. They looked at me as the person that they wanted to exemplify for all the wrong reasons. It struck me that even though a lot of stuff was passed down to me, I in turn was passing down destruction, and I needed to check myself for that. I needed to be held accountable to myself for the inspiration that I was giving other people. I had always possessed sort of leadership skills and qualities. I was just leading people down a different path. So now I'm out. I'm still taking medication, still addressing my mental health, which is a very huge thing for me. In 2017, my son and his siblings and his mom were living in Georgia. They had been living there for about 6 months. I would drive down once or twice a month. You know, my son would call me. He would be like, Dad, can you come and give me a hug? And I would find ways to get my shifts covered, because if my son asked for a hug, I needed to be there to do that. So time moved on. And after 6 months of being in Georgia, I went and visited him because I was going to pick him up for Christmas vacation. So we get back to the house. It was a very long drive, about 32 hours in all. I drove straight there, straight back, extremely tired. I was just sitting in the living room, and I got a text from his mom, and the text said, I'm tired, keep him. And I remember I just started crying because I had no clue how to be a parent, especially the primary parent. So the first thing I did was I called my aunt and uncle. And in between the sobs, I just kept saying, I don't want to fail this boy. Because he was 10 years old. He was at an age where I remember how tender I was, how impressionable I was. And I refused, even though I didn't know how I would do it, I refused to fail him. I was new to social media, so I began a page called the One Day at a Time Dad. And the premise was I was begging any and everybody to teach me how to be a dad. And to my amazement, within a few months, the page hit like 50,000 followers. And it's been an interesting journey. And I'll fast forward to now. About 2 years ago, I began a poster campaign in Boston, Springfield, Chelsea, Lynn, Lawrence, and Springfield. And I hung up thousands of posters on stop signs, telephone poles, and asked a simple question. If you go to jail, will the gang raise your child? A very simple question, but I knew it would hit at the heart of those it was meant to hit. And it was around this time that the DA race in Suffolk County was going on. And I ended up going to community meetings. I ended up meeting Rachel Rollins, who's the current sit-in DA. I ended up campaigning for her. And I found that it put me in rooms with people that I would have never been in a room with before. Up until this point, I was still doing outreach work, but it was on a personal level with people I knew in the community. And I would connect with brothers that I had did time with in other cities. And I would link up with them. And in turn, we would go out to their old neighborhoods and talk to some of the youth and try to interrupt and disrupt a lot of the violence that was going on. And this was the summertime. So there was an uptick in violence in every inner city. With that said, when I went to these community meetings, it struck me, whether it was coming from a politician, coming from the organization, it really hit me that many of them were making decisions based on second, third, fourth, fifth, sometimes sixth-hand information. And I wanted to create a way to get them pure information. And the way that I did that was through the series that Christina mentioned, Listening to Learn. It's an interview series designed to discover solutions to community issues through the voices of lived experience. Because I truly believe, and it was my personal journey, that once I was able to be strong enough to speak out about what had happened to me and tell my story, I learned and saw the effect it had on others, but everybody doesn't connect to my story. So I wanted to start bringing out as many stories as possible. So I would interview everybody because somebody connects with somebody. And throughout the process, I learned that there were patterns emerging, that we were so much more alike than we were not, if we just took the time to truly listen, because listening for me was something I had a very hard time with. So some of the things that I'm involved with now. So I'm a therapeutic mentor. I was working with a company called JRI doing outreach for youth 13 to 18, building lesson plans, working under an IHT, a hub or a clinician, to figure out ways to get them to deal with inner trauma, build a lesson plan around managing that trauma while still living their daily lives. When I'm in the community, I have my own program, Listening to Learn, also holds community meetings where people will come listen to the panelists who are all community members. So the providers would come and listen. It would be a reverse listening session with the hopes that when they went back into their rooms with their advisors, they would have firsthand knowledge of exactly what are the conditions of the neighborhoods we're surrounded by, grew up in, and participate in every single moment. So for me personally, when I came home from prison this last and final time, I found myself in a position where there weren't many services for me. I was a very lucky and exceptional one to the rule because I'd done so much mental health work. But I began to see a pattern emerging within the fathers that I knew. And eventually it emerged within the moms I was to meet through the forum itself. And so many were speaking about how once they were over the age of 26, 27, they couldn't find any services. They couldn't find any programs. They couldn't find any help or support unless they were either in prison or in active addiction. But in terms of living everyday life, they couldn't find help. So through the forum, what I've been able to do is amplify the voices of parents, because it's my belief that if we can begin to heal parents, then the children after a few generations will begin to self-adjust. And that's what so much of my work is today. And it all stems from the relationship with my son and the one day at a time dad. So I go out into neighborhoods every day where I'm dealing with kids that are my son's age that are involved with guns, are involved with selling drugs, are involved with violence. And it really hits me that how can I call myself a great dad and want to be a leader and not want to help the sons and the daughters of the parents that grew up in the same conditions that I did? Because very easily one of these children could harm my son. And I didn't see a point in raising a great kid and letting him be raised in a world that just remained the same. And so I started understanding cycle breaking. And I never understood that I was a cycle breaker. It took me time to develop that. But it started with speaking out. When I spoke about the sexual abuse that was going on within my family, and it came to find out that this was going on generationally. So this was something deep-seated, deep-rooted, and it needed to be exposed. And it caused a lot of rifts in my family. It caused a lot of divides. And in the beginning of this process, I remember I would feel a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, as if I brought dishonor on my family, as if I brought dishonor on myself, just by opening my mouth and saying the words, I was molested. I'm a man and I was molested. It happens to us too. One night, I remember the guilt was so much on my mind. I had often done things in the past where I would hurt myself, but it was clearly for attention. But this night I told myself that I was not going to be here anymore. So I came up with a plan. I had about $2,000 to my name. I was living with my uncle and aunt, and I went into their bedroom. It was about 12:30 in the morning, and I gave my uncle all of my worldly possessions. I gave him a kiss on the cheek, and I left out. I went to a bar, and I told myself I was just going to drink myself into a stupor. I was going to go into an adjacent field, and I was just going to hurt myself until I wasn't here anymore. That didn't happen. I don't know why that didn't happen, but it didn't happen. It was a wake up for me, a very big wake up, because I understood that I had to find the balance of being a cycle breaker while living everyday life. Because what I always thought that I could do was take time to deal with my issues while putting life on hold. And whenever I tried to do this, it just didn't work that way. And I always found myself going back into the depression as opposed to moving forward. And that was a pattern that I needed to break. So the way that I dealt with the depression, I basically locked myself into my room. And I thought about a question that was asked by a therapist. She asked me, what was I worth? It was a question I was never asked. It was a question I had no clue how to answer. But I thought about that question. And then I thought about all of the defense mechanisms that I had employed over the years just to manage all of the emotions I felt. The first defense mechanism that I ever remember was when I was about 5 years old. I would be hurt about 5 nights a week. It would always happen around 2:30 in the morning. And I would wake up automatically around 1:30 in the morning. My body would prep itself. And when the abuse began, I found that I would dissociate. I would be up on the ceiling fan looking down at that little boy who was being abused, and I would actually laugh at him because it was him and it wasn't me. And as I found later in life, I had to bring together all of these different views that I had of myself, all of the different self-defense mechanisms. And the hardest part of the journey was sitting in a room by myself and saying goodbye to these self-defense mechanisms that had kept me alive and safe, even if they were self-destructive. But I needed to do something to move forward because I had always had goals and always had dreams. I never understood why I was falling short every single time. It was because I was not addressing myself. I wasn't, one, holding myself accountable, but more importantly, I wasn't forgiving myself for things that were out of my control. But I was responsible for any actions that I took, regardless of if what happened to me, I had control over or not. So as time moved on and I made peace with these self-defense mechanisms, I started noticing all sorts of doors opening. I started seeing opportunities that had always been there, but I wasn't yet ready to receive. So fast forward, I'm in these community meetings, which I still attend, specifically to raise awareness around bringing sort of firsthand information to policymakers, decision makers. Because ultimately, I believe that we all do great work every single day. Ultimately, we need policies change, we need new legislation, we need laws written in that are supporting the movements that we do. So hopefully we don't have to do these movements forever, but we can move on to new things.
Thank you, Christian. That was so great. And I want to make sure that Miguel is on. What a story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight. It was great. And that's a hard thing to do. So I really appreciate it. And I want to see if Miguel is around so that he can introduce our next. Thank you so much.
Yes, I am. Hi, how are you?
Hi, go ahead and introduce your first, the first video from your group.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for participating, and thank you for let us participate in this great event. As a Bajuco, which is a ballet folklorico colombiano, we are going to be performing 3 dances today, and one is going to be Salvadero, which is from the region, from the Caribbean part of Colombia. This is young kids who perform here in East Boston and around Boston, kids from Revere, from Malden, from Chelsea, from Winthrop. We all perform traditional dances from Colombia. So I hope you guys enjoy our performance today. Thank you.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Juana la Caribe, Caribe, Juana la Caribe, Caribe. 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 Juana la Caribe, Caribe, Juanita la Caribe, Caribe. Juana la Caribe, Caribe, Juana la Caribe, Caribe. Juana la Caribe, Caribe, Juana la Caribe, Caribe. Ay, Juana la Caribe, Caribe, Juana la Caribe, Caribe.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for it.
She had no voice.
Technical difficulties, sorry about that. I'm here to introduce to you and tell you a little bit about one of our honorees. Her name is Zeta Ortiz. Zeta Ortiz is a community organizer and the daughter of Mexican immigrant to the United States. Her parents were active and engaged in community leaders in Oklahoma. They encouraged Zeta at a young age to get involved. She interned at the YWCA processing immigration cases with her mother and taught English and literacy skills to migrants, farmers with her father's faith-based community organization. Today, Zeta continues this work as an organizer and a founding member of the Malden Neighborhoods Helping Neighbors. She's a leader, progressive. She's an individual that has consulted individuals in political races. Zeta is so passionate and an advocate for immigrants' rights, having lobbied for TPS, which is temporary permanent status holders, through her work with Jobs with Justice in Washington, D.C. Further, she has marched and defended DACA and protested incarceration of those in ICE custody, including successfully helping Francisco Rodriguez reunite with his family. Zeta has also organized and participated in marches, rallies in Boston, including Families Belonging Together rally in Boston, the 2018 Women's March, and March for Our Lives. Zeta firmly believes that we should, and listen, that we actually should have more representation of people of color in leadership roles in the aspects of government and society. She has been a consultant in many political campaigns, from Ayanna Pressley and Julia Mejia. Most recently, she was deputy campaign manager for Helena Fontes and campaign strategist for Michelle Muller. Now, Zeta, has had many accomplishments, but the one thing Zeta has done is she's helped pave the way for others to do what she can do and what she has done and what they may want to do in their future. So it gives me great privilege and honor to introduce to you Zeta Ortiz, an individual that has helped to pave the way for others. Zeta.
Hello.
Hi.
I am bringing you a gift from the North Shore Hispanic Association.
Muchísimas gracias.
De nada.
Thank you all so much, and thank you, Gladys. I'm humbled to be included with the rest of the honorees tonight. Jose Palma is an amazing immigrant organizer who just came back from a cross-country tour advocating for Tepecianos. Jenna Robles does important work for all of us. She's educating our future. And as Frederick Douglass says, it's easier to build strong children than it is to fix broken men. So I appreciate your work. And Miguel is making sure to keep his Colombian culture alive and bringing sazón and rhythm to the North Shore. Thank you all. Es un honor y placer estar con ustedes hoy. My name is Zaida Ortiz, and I'm new to Malden. I moved here about 20 years ago. I come from a long line of organizers, as Gladys said, and they taught me that it was necessary to organize, to survive, and to desarrollar. My grandfather was a union organizer in the sugar factories in Tamaulipas, Mexico. He immigrated to this country when he was about my age. He came after facing government corruption and had to start his life all over again in a country that welcomed him with open arms and welcomed his work ethic, despite not having a command of the language or a formal education. My parents were newlyweds when a hurricane destroyed their home and businesses and brought them to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I was born. There were only 16 Latinx families at the time, and we all would gather together in community at La Virgen de Guadalupe Church. As our community grew, my parents were seen as leaders, and so without realizing, I was raised and shown how to bring people together and to build community and build people power. My deep dive into the family business didn't become until 2016. Racism was on the ballot, and the minute that man came down that escalator and called my people murderers and rapists, I knew I had to do something. The results of November 9th confirmed that my people were unwelcome here, that we were menos, that we weren't really Americanos. I wandered around in a daze for weeks, wondering if the person next to me had voted for hate or thought I didn't belong here. My immigrant family taught me to be proud of our new home, but to never forget our Mexican culture and to keep it close to our heart. I was not only lucky to be able to speak 2 languages, but to live in 2 vibrant cultures. I was still in a fog when I found a Google Doc that reminded me of my civics lessons that I had learned so long ago at George Washington Carver Middle School. I wasn't just a voter, but I was a constituent, and I had constituent power. And that subtle mind shift began this journey for me. I had been a novice in politics before this came, but this destructive administration was a call to arms for me. I knew I had to leverage my privilege as an American-born citizen to protect our immigrant brothers and sisters. So one snowy day in January, I went to a community meeting, and 10 minutes into the meeting, I was leading 80 people talking about immigration. 2 months later, I was organizing a rally to support Dreamers. And I was able, through my work in advocacy, to support our gente on local, state, and national levels. I got to go, I had the honor of participating in a 3-day event in DC that Jose organized, and I learned so much about being in community and including music and including joy in my advocacy and supporting the Tipisanos on the coldest, rainiest day it possibly could in DC. I've advocated locally for driver's license and the Safe Community Act, which is still languishing at our state house. I've trained BIPOC leaders across the country, but most recently, the work that I'm most proudest of is I've assisted our local Latinx community to cope and survive COVID-19. I'm one of the founding members of Malden Neighbors Helping Neighbors, and I've made sure that we've been culturally competent, make sure to remember that most Latinos don't eat peanut butter and jelly, but give us some masa and some beans, and boy, we can make some great meals. Regardless of what the results are, I know that there's still a lot of work before us. And I hope that I can inspire more people, especially our young people who are our future, to follow in our footsteps. And I just will continue to make room and space for them. Thank you all so much. I am very honored to be here and appreciative of all of you.
Zeta, I want to congratulate you again for being such an inspiration to everybody. And I want to thank you for a well-deserved award and recognition. Thank you. Now, I'm going to move forward and I'm going to talk about Jose Palma. Welcome, Jose Palma.
Gracias.
And I want to congratulate you for being another of our 2020 Outstanding Hispanic Americans. Jose Palma, a TPS recipient, has decades of success fighting for social, economic justice and immigrant rights. TPS stands for Temporary Permanent Status. Jose was born in El Salvador and came to the United States in 1998. He has lived in Lynn, Mass. Since 2002. Jose graduated with an associate's in science degree for paralegal studies in North Shore Community College in 2011. At the same time, he was raising 3 children. Jose is the coordinator of Massachusetts TPS Committee, Temporary Permanent Status Committee, and has worked in various nonprofits, organizations, and has helped lead efforts to pass legislation in the Commonwealth and has been part of the effort to pass comprehensive immigration reform across the country. At last, he was national coordinator of the National TPS Allowance. Right now, since all the election process has been going on, Jose has been traveling nationally, promoting and doing what he does best, speaking to everybody about TPS and where we stand now and where we may be moving towards the future. Congratulations, Jose Palma, for being the 2020 individual paving the way for Hispanics. Jose.
Buenas noches, Miguel. Venimos.
José.
José, perdón.
¿Lo
José.
va a traer o está ahí?
No, está bien. Venimos de parte de North Shore Hispanic Association a darle este reconocimiento y agradecerle por todo lo que usted trabaja con la comunidad, por todo lo que usted hace por todos nosotros los inmigrantes. Muchísimas gracias.
Oh, gracias. Gracias por venir y no, gracias a ustedes por el reconocimiento. Usted sabe que a veces uno tiene que hacer la lucha porque le impacta a uno, le impacta a nuestra comunidad en general. Entonces, yo de parte no me queda más que agradecerles por reconocerme. Yo sé que también lo recibo con una responsabilidad porque a veces uno está al frente, pero hay mucha gente a la par de uno trabajando para lograr nuestros objetivos, que es como debe de ser, trabajar como comunidad por el bienestar de todos. Así que gracias por el reconocimiento y de verdad no tengo palabras más que decirle.
Gracias a usted y nos estamos viendo, Miguel. José, muchísimas gracias.
Bueno,
que
gracias.
Muy bien, gracias.
Bueno,
hasta luego.
Nos miramos. Gracias. Buenas noches. Y fue un gusto verles ayer. Yeah, thank you to North Shore Hispanic Association. I always believe that receiving a recognition is always beautiful. And to receive recognition with the group of honorees tonight is even special. So I just want to thank for that. And maybe sharing a little bit about who am I and a little bit more about what I have done. I'm originally from El Salvador, came in 1998, I came as many people from many countries come, undocumented, crossing the border, looking for a dream. Since I came, I always have kind of like have it very clear that I want to go to law school, and it has been always a motivation about opportunities for higher education. And I think it has been always something that has motivated me to do what I do. Um, so I got involved into the Dream Act organizing as looking for opportunity for people to achieve higher education. And I have been also participating in so many other campaigns, including, and I feel proud of it, that earn sick time. Many people now have 5 days. If they get sick, they can get paid if they work in companies with more than 11 employees. I feel proud to say that I was part of that campaign and actually was leading about 37 cities in the North Shore area, getting out to vote and organizing people to understand what was the campaign and why it was so important to go out and participate during the election. But recently, I think there is a campaign that has been touched my heart directly as I am impacted for it, which is that since the president came into office and attacking the immigrants, the side I was mentioning, he was also trying to take away TPS, which is temporary protective status, which is protecting and it has been protecting since countries like Honduras and Nicaragua has been protected for the last 22 years. Many people said, if you have been protected for 22 years, why you haven't applied for permanent residency? Well, the program doesn't allow that. It just provides the work authorization, driver license, and it doesn't give the opportunity to move to permanent residency. So people from Honduras and Nicaragua has been with TPS for 22 years. Salvadorians, including myself, has been protected with TPS for the last 20 years. And in 2017, the new administration said, you guys should pack and go home. And we say, well, we have been here for so many years. Our kids are born here. I actually have 4 kids, all of them born in the United States, from 20 years old all the way down to 2 years old. So we said, as every parent will do, we'll say, well, we will fight, we will get together, we will organize. And that's what we have done since 2017. I was part of a group that we started a group called the National TPS Alliance. We have been organizing across the country, organizing committees in different parts of the country. We have been also suing the government in a case with Ramos versus Nilsson's, which is a case, that has been able, we have been able to protect people through that lawsuit. At the same time that we have been trying to pass a legislation, many people know one of the legislation that we have tried, which is the Dream and Promise Act. I actually testify in front of Congress to make sure they understand the importance of passing that legislation. So, throughout my time, I have done many things, from trying to pass legislation to protect our families and also organizing not only in Massachusetts, but across the country. But I think one of the things I feel, most proud of is my family that I have been raising, and also the contribution I have done to my community, including Malden, that actually I was a volunteer soccer coach for about 3 years with Malden youth soccer. So that is what it made me feel, that people like us are not only bringing new energy to the United States, but also contribution that usually help our community, it help everyone else who live in our neighbors. So that's why I have been doing the work I have been doing for the last many years. And I just want to say thank you for giving me this recognition. It's always as a motivation to receive a recognition for the work that some of us will do, because we have to defend our families and our communities. But it's always also feel great to receive that other people are looking what we are doing, and I feel very honored for that. I also want to recognize that sometimes some of us that are in the forefront or some of us that are leading something get the recognition. But in my case, I also want to recognize that the work I do is because we are working with so many people, shoulder to shoulder, working together, not only in this case to protect the TPS community or DACA recipients, but at the end of the day is to make sure our community are respected and our community get what we deserve, which is opportunity to continue living together as a community and continue contributing to the United States. So I think a recognition like this is like gasoline to continue running and advocating for everything we would like to see in our communities, which is dignity and respect for everyone, for people that come from our countries and for everyone that is coming to the United States. So thank you again for this recognition. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to continue working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jose, we've been thinking about you during this time. So I really appreciate everything that you've been doing. And I also want to say that you know, Jose was on our panel that the North Shore Hispanic Association did, an immigration panel. So thank you for everything that you've been doing. And so now it's my honor to introduce Jenna Roby. So Jenna was born in and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. She moved to Massachusetts in 2006 to attend Tufts University. Jenna spent her junior year living and studying abroad in Santiago, Chile, where she taught English and discovered her love for teaching. After graduating in 2010 with her bachelor's in international relations in public health and Spanish literature, she decided to pursue her passion for teaching. Jenna graduated with a master's degree in teaching from Tufts University. She's been an educator for 11 years and has spent the last 10 years teaching 8th grade in the Malden Public School System. Yay, Jenna. She runs her own Latin dance company where she blends her love for teaching and her love for dance. Jenna's goal is to bring visual arts to the Malden area while sharing with others her love and appreciation for the Spanish language, culture, and community. And Jenna also has performed at our festivals. So thank you for always being a part of our work. And so here's Jenna.
Hi, I'm with the North Shore Hispanic Association. We brought a gift for you.
Thank you. Look at this. Well, I'm actually supposed to be in a meeting
Right.
So I'm gonna go. Bye. Thank you. So cute.
All right, and here we go. Yes. Thank you, Karen, and thank you to the North Shore Hispanic Association. It's truly an honor to be receiving this award today. And bear with me because when thinking about this speech, I got very emotional because this is something I don't ever talk about, but I feel like it needs to be heard. My whole life, I have been asked to define myself, to explain myself, or to check a box, right? So everyone, what are you? People ask, and many assume that because I teach bachata, speak Spanish fluently, and look the way that I do, that I'm Dominican or Puerto Rican. Well, let me tell you, just as I told the association when I was told about this award, I am the daughter of a white mother and a Black father, stepdaughter to a Mexican, and grew up in St. Louis, Missouri with a large group of Hispanic friends, mi banda. And honestly, I was never white enough or Black enough to fit into people's standards. Yet I have always been, and if you know me, you know this, unapologetically myself. But what is community, right? Community is defined as a unified body of individuals with common interests, okay? And although it is not in my blood, I owe a lot to the Hispanic community for accepting me for me and for making me feel like I had a place, a sense of belonging. And it is because of that love that I felt from this community, this beautiful community, that I have dedicated my life to giving back. And man, do I love Malden. Everyone knows Malden all day. I teach in Malden a couple different ways. Malden is my love. I will rep it till the end. I have dedicated my life to spreading the joy that I feel when I dance and when I teach to anyone willing to listen. And COVID-19 has impacted the dance community very hard. And the studio that I was teaching in Malden was forced to close. Educational trips that we were planning to the Dominican Republic were put on hold. And yet, despite these struggles, our goals remain the same. And along with my dance partner, Luis, we have found new creative ways to teach virtually and are now planning to open our own JNL dance studio in Malden next year. So if you are looking to dance and have a good time, check us out at jennaandluis.com. Shameless plug. I also want to thank my family, my friends, my students, both dance and at school, and my amazing fiance for always loving and supporting me. And thanks again for this amazing honor. I am here as proof that an action that seems so small can impact a life forever. And I'm forever grateful for those who have loved on me, regardless of who I am and how I am. And this award means more to me than you'll ever know. So thank you. And I'm glad I made it through that without crying. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was amazing. And Jenna, I definitely can understand the emotion behind that. I always say that same thing. I'm a light-skinned Puerto Rican. Nobody knows where to put me either. So thank you so much for highlighting that tonight. And now I would like to introduce Miguel Vargas, who has been a part of our association working with us together for a long time. He is the founder and director of Bajuco, and he was born in Bogota, Colombia, and currently working for Aetna Student Health Company, and also an active member of the fitness and health centers around the Boston area. He's also worked at the Senior Center, a little plug there. Motivated by the need for promoting the true culture and image of Colombia, Miguel founded the ballet Bajuco, Colombia, and through teamwork, education, and enrichment of the Colombian culture heritage, he seeks to provide a pathway for its members to become responsible, active adults, while also offering an opportunity to explore their interests in performing arts. Throughout the years, he's been working with different communities on the state and nationwide, as well as international performances in Colombia and Canada and Mexico. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend, Miguel Vargas.
Miguel.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, y tú, Miguel, me da
Bien.
mucho gusto verte. Vengo de parte del North Shore Association de aquí de Malden, nuestra organización hispana, para darte este pequeño detalle.
Muchísimas gracias.
Con mucho cariño de parte del comité, de todo el comité de Malden. Gracias por estar con nosotros, gracias por colaborarnos, gracias por estar siempre para el programa.
Muchas gracias, de verdad que es un honor para mí recibir este premio, este reconocimiento. De verdad que me siento muy feliz, muy contento y por siempre estar con ustedes, apoyándolas, apoyando las necesidades de la comunidad, tanto de Modern como de toda la parte de Boston. Muchas gracias, de verdad que en estos momentos de pandemia, en estos momentos de que el país estamos pasando por muchas cosas tan duras, esto para mí es excelente, es una satisfacción, es una, que no solamente es mía, sino es de todo el grupo de Bajucol, del Ballet Folclórico Colombiano, en el cual trabajamos muchísimo para mantener a los jóvenes trabajando, y con el apoyo de organizaciones como esta, pues es impresionante y es muy buena. Así que muchas gracias, Dios los bendiga de corazón, muchas gracias.
Fue con mucho cariño, Miguel, gracias a usted, de parte de todo el comité.
A todo el comité, muchísimas gracias, Dios los bendiga. Be safe.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Thank you. It's an honor to have this award. As I can say thank you enough. As you can see in the background, I have a beautiful poster of our second event that we have with the North Shore community. My name is Miguel. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and about all the work that I have done with the community. I came from Colombia about 30 years ago, and 25 years, and I started working with Bajucol as a volunteer work, trying to help out the community in East Boston, trying to rescue all these young kids that were here and trying to help them out through adapting to the new life and to language barrier, different activities that they have at that time. And I become to be like a father figure for a lot of these kids. We start working with a small group, and then before we know it, we had about 70 kids from East Boston and Chelsea that start coming into the work, into the Bajucol. I'm an accountant. I graduated from Northeastern University. I also, just as a piece, I work for the insurance company, and I've been working with a different fitness centers in Cambridge and Boston, trying to also promote fitness. Through Bajucol, which is Ballet Folclórico Juvenil Colombiano, we have worked for so many years with different communities. We have performed in different festivals, universities, college, schools, festivals, everywhere that we try to reach out to the community. We go and promote our culture from Colombia and Latin America. In our group, we not only have Colombians, but we have different kids from Latin America. We have kids from Mexico, from Peru, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Brazil. We have a couple of girls from Japan who they were interested to learn about the Colombian culture because they married some of the a guy from Colombia, and they want to learn the culture and they want to learn why we dance different ways, so they can teach their kids. And eventually later on, their kids participate in our dance group. So that was a great experience to have not only Colombians, but we have Latin Americans and Japanese people in our group. We work towards our performance every 2 years on the John Hancock Auditorium, with hope, with all this going on in this country, with the pandemic, that next year we can come out and do a performance. We working right now in a project where we can either have our show right on a park or somewhere on the outside, so people can enjoy our performances. So stay tuned. We, we'll keep you posted. We'll see what's our next performances. For now, we've just been doing a lot of performances online. We were invited before the pandemic in March and April. We were invited to perform at the University of Connecticut and also in Boston College. We were invited to participate in an event in Colombia in June. So all this has to be canceled. So hopefully next year we will have all this opportunity and all these kids back to work. We already start practicing. We already start our rehearsals with all the safety measures, but little by little, kids are coming back to do some dance. So I hope you guys enjoyed us one of these days in Bajucol. We are in East Boston. We have a studio right here in the middle of Orient Heights. So if you're around, stop by. Feel free to come by and join us. Thank you very much to the North Shore Hispanic Association. It is my pleasure. I've been working with you guys a long time ago, and I really appreciate this award. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you, everyone in this association. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Miguel. Miguel, you have wonderful performers. We appreciate all their performances that you've always brought forth to us in our community. Now, it's time to close our great day. This event was put forth by two wonderful ladies. It was our Kit and our Maya, with assistance from Karen Hayes Cologne and the membership. I would like to take a moment just to, besides thank them, the performers and our exceptional honorees, Zeta Ortiz, Jose Palma, Jenna Roby, Miguel Vargas, and our keynote speaker, Christian White. Now, we expect that you will continue everything that you have done and then some in your community to keep us in the limelight and to keep yourself in the limelight, because you make us proud. The North Shore Hispanic Association is proud to have you in our membership of honorees for people that have paved the way for others. Thank you, and God bless everybody. Please remember, wash your hands, wear your masks, and God willing, we will survive this pandemic. Dios te bendiga todo.
Thank you very much, Gladys. I'm going to just quickly say. Hi, am I back on? Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to say to people to please stick around because there's another video coming, but also I have to say that it's Zaida Ortiz. I just wanted to make a little, that happens a lot with her, but that is the way she pronounces her name is Zaida. So thank you so much for that. And let's go on and enjoy the performance.